Uh, right, cool. Okay. Excellent. Right. So this hopefully demonstrating some of the issues we've been having. Whenever I run the 3141 shell, everything seems to work fine. I can cabal REPL everything, and have no issues. And so I think everything's fine. And then a student tries to do exactly the same thing, and it all fails. And so I don't. And trying to decipher what was actually going wrong was one of the main hiccups. Hopefully now it's all sorted. But so I'll be spending the weekend troubleshooting if people are having problems. If you still have problems when it comes to submission, email me the file, and we'll put in the submission for you straight away, and get it sorted at the other end. And the same applies to the exercises as well. Right, so yes, so we can see here, so when we go in, I just copied the file across from what we had, and we see that basically it's going to pass a couple of tests already. It's going to pass it passes the first test, and it passes the peak char test. I haven't dealt with anything else. Pass all works as well, so that's kind of nice as well. So that's what we're largely looking for. Right, I am keeping an eye on chat. For anybody that's tagging on there. Right, where are we? Going on. Parse string. Okay, parse string. So because I'm a little bit shy on time, I'm not going to go. I might leave parse string to sort of like till the end of things to get there, because I'd rather talk about parse list. Because parse list is an interesting situation, because if you have a list, so you've got your left and your right delimiters for your brackets, imaginary brackets, and then you've got your parser P, which is the parser that I want to sort of like run multiple times through my list. Now, what makes the list interesting is that I actually have you end up with sort of like a couple of cases to consider, particularly because we're looking at comma-separated values. So the deal is basically what I want to do. Hi, Amber. Is right. So the first thing I want to do is I want to check that my list, or let's have a check. It's like, oh, implement white space. No. So this is going to be able to be tested with the white space. Let me just white space. So what do I do with white space? White space is relatively straightforward. Maybe I just want to. So all right. So parse consumes all leading white space. So I might parse while. What's it parse while? What do I do? Parse while. Parse while is space. Right now, that's not quite going to return the right thing. I have to do parse while is space because that's going to return it's going to return a string. It's going to take all the things and return a string. So I don't want to return a string. I want to return a unit, right? And so I can just do the same trick as I did before. Just consume all the space and then just return my unit. Nope, just like that. Oh, so sorry, parse while. And so now my white space. So this is a simple white space thing. There is syntactic, I don't know if this was covered, syntactic sugar for this style, which you may see for the above. So instead of saying return, so this return and so basically what I'm doing is I'm taking parse space and throwing that output away and then returning something that doesn't really care about that. I could say a simplified version. Stop recording. So instead of saying return blank, this less than $sign, so like half of the things, it basically says, less than $sign, greater than, yeah, less than $sign. Does the same trick, right? So it says, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I think it's less than $sign. Is it less than $sign or $sign? I can't remember which way. So basically saying, I don't care what this returns. Instead, just return this thing over here. Okay. But if you haven't seen that, don't stress about that. That's just if you see something like that come up. But I prefer to do it like this because, well, it's simple and we understand what's going on here. Hopefully we understand what's going on here. Anyway, so white space. So we've covered white space now. And so what I want to do is talk about parsing a list. And so what do I want to do? I want to do. So first of all, I want to check that. You still have problems when it comes to submission. Fine, I can cabal REPL everything. And have no issues, and so I think everything's fine, and then the student tries to do exactly the same thing, and it all fails. And so I don't, and trying to decipher what was actually going wrong was one of the main hiccups. Hopefully now it's all sorted, but so I'll be spending the weekend troubleshooting if people are having problems. If you still have problems when it comes to submission, email me the file, and we'll put in the submission for you straight away, and get it sorted at the other end. And the same applies to the exercises as well. Right, so yes, so we can see here, so when we go in, I just copied the file across from what we had, and we see that basically it's going to pass a couple of tests already. It's going to pass it passes the first test and it passes the peak char test. I haven't dealt with anything else. Passable works as well, so that's kind of nice as well. So that's what we're largely looking for. Right, I am keeping an eye on chat for anybody that's tagging on there. Right, where are we? What are we doing? Going on. Parse positive. Okay, parse string. So because I'm a little bit shy on time, I'm not going to go. I might leave parse string to sort of like till the end of things because I'd rather talk about parse list. Because parse list is an interesting situation because if you have a list, so you've got your left and your right delimiters for your brackets, imaginary brackets, and then you've got your parser P, which is the parser that I want to sort of like run multiple times through my list. Now, what makes the list interesting is that I actually have you end up with sort of like a couple of cases to consider, particularly because we're looking at comma separated values. So the deal is basically what I want to do. Hi, Amber, is right. So the first thing I want to do is I want to check that I my list, or let's have a check. It's like, oh, we didn't implement white space. No. So this is going to be able to be tested with the white space. Let me just actually done quick white space. So what do I do with white space? White space is relatively straightforward. Maybe I just want to. So all right. So parse consumes all leading white space. So I might parse while. Parse while. Parse while is space, right? Now, that's not quite going to return the right thing. I said do parse while is space because that's going to return it's going to return a string. It's going to take all the things and return a string. So I don't want to return a string. I want to return a unit, right? And so I can just do the same trick as I did before. Just consume all the space and then just return my unit. Hopefully. Nope, just like that. and so now my white space. So this is a simple white space thing. There is syntactic, I don't know if this was covered, syntactic sugar for this style, which you may see for the above. So instead of saying return, so this return and sort of like, so basically what I'm doing is I'm taking parse predicate space and throwing that output away and then returning something that doesn't really care about that. I could say a simplified version. What are you showing? Stop recording. So instead of saying return blank, this less than $sign, so like half of the things, it basically says, less than $sign, greater than, yeah, less than $sign. Does the same trick, right? So it says, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I think it's less than $sign. Is it less than $sign or $sign greater? I can't remember which way. So it's basically saying, I don't care what this returns. Instead, just return this thing over here. Okay. But if you haven't seen that, don't stress about that. That's just if you see something like that. But I prefer to do it like this because, well, it's simple and we understand what's going on here. Hopefully we understand what's going on. Anyway, so white space. So we've covered white space now. And so what I want to do is talk about parsing a list. And so what do I want to do? I want to do. So first of all, I want to check that first character is indeed the left delimiter. Now, delimiter is character, keyword H is string. So I need to turn my character into a string, which we do like this, right? So now I've got a left delimiter, and now I want to sort of split into a bunch of cases, right? First case is if I don't see anything, right? Literally, the next thing I see after some white space is, so yeah, do that, consume the white space. Right, so now what I want to do is I want to check is the next thing I see the right delimiter, right? Otherwise, I'll come back to exactly this. Otherwise, what I want to do now is I want to go into the sort of like situation of now I've got content in my list, and what I want to do is sort of say, okay, yeah, so training comments, committing comments between elements should yield failure. Also, of course, if I never find the right delimiter, should also yield failure. So, oh, sorry, no, yeah. So I want to first of all check, do I have the right? Do I have the right delimiter? So literally do space, if I have the right delimiter, then everything's all good. I've just got an empty list, so I just want to return the empty list. Otherwise, right? So if I see the writing, otherwise I'm in a situation where I've got content. Try to work out my bracketing here. Oh, it goes. Okay. Right. Just going to this one. Let's just close that. Good. Right. So otherwise I've got some content. And so what I want to do is I want to first of all I sort of want to do a parse while. But my parse while is going to parse a comma and then the next thing and the comma and the next thing. So the first thing I need to do is take sort of like a single item. Right. So I've consumed the white space, and so now what I want to do is to say, right, okay. Right, so what is parse body? So parse body, so this is essentially what I want to do. So basically, or else I'm going to say, I'm going to parse my body. Parse body P, right? So my parse body, what does my parse body do? That just keeps going. So this is effectively going to just find my comma separated values. Right? So parse body P equals, and then I say find comma separated P items. Right, so I'm going to parse my body, and then I'm going to say, I can have some white space. And then I want, and then I want my keyword, I want my right delimiter. And if all of that's fine, then what do I want to do? I want to return X's. Right, so all this is sort of like a big parse that sort of like deals with this case. So first of all, I deal with the empty list, and then my parse body. Right, so what does my parse body do? Well, actually, what I'm going to do is sort of like put it, let's say parse body. Yeah, put it in the where clause. Right, so let's deal with this. How do we parse a body? Indentation here. Last words. Right, so how do I want to do? So parse body, this is going to find P comma separated P item. So first thing I want to do is try and get try and get the first item out of my list. That's fine. I know I've got at least one item. And then what I want to do is sort of like go into a parse while section. Oh, no, so yeah, so like a parse while, not a parse while, I'm going to call parse body instead. So I'm going to do this now. Now I'm going to go to white space. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go sort of like the idea of possibly taking 0 or more comma followed by more body. Right, and so I can use parse body to sort of like presume that to do that. And so what I'm going to do is say, right, I'm going to do brackets or so this bit here is going to give me this is basically my while. parse while sort of setup. So basically what I want to do is to say, okay, I'm going to, first of all, check for comma, make some white space, and then I'm going to, so now I'll consume the comma and take some white space, and now I want to sort of like recursively call parse body. Call parse body again. So that's going to then return that. So what happens when I get to the end? So what happens if I can't find another comma? Well, then what do I want to do? Right, well, in that case, I just want to return blank. Right? And so so this structure here basically says, okay, find the comma, parse the rest of the thing. So now once I've taken that comma away, now I've got another comma-separated list starting with something that isn't the list. Right? And so I'm just going to parse that again, repeat this parse body thing. And then if you no longer find a comma, then I'm done effectively. So no longer find a comma effectively, I want to return the empty list at my base case. And then so this whole loop here, if you like, will then create the x's for the rest of my parse body. And so at the end of the day, after all of that, what I want to do is I just want to return x commas x's, assuming everything went fine. So this is hopefully that's going to work. Oops, sorry, across. So I want to do this, sorry. Parse body. Now what happens if parse body let's copy this. Let's get this bang on. What else? Where's the one that we what's wrong? Oh, is it? That's an easy one. Right, Simon. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, me. Nearly got it. Next time. Right, thank you. Right, debugged. What a mess. Yes, I think this is the problem I had with live coding before. I assumed that the spacing was all fine and it really wasn't. Yes, let's get this spacing right. So okay, so now we've got a parse list, and we can test it out. Really? Parse, let's parse in a parse, parse left, right, and a parse bool. We're going to do that, and we'll give the string true, true, false, true, true, false, and crushed. Something like that at bool. Bring it down, put brackets in the right place. Yeah, there we go. Right, so successfully parsed that list, and so we can do that. If I try to give it a list of 3s, so there's nothing because 3 doesn't parse. If I do an empty list, that's fine. If I do a list of just one thing, it works fine there. So we're all good. Happy days. Right, so there's parse list. Why is parse list so important? Well, once we've got parse list out of the way, it does make the other ones. Does make parse JSON relatively easy. When we get to parse JSON, why does parse JSON relatively easy? Well, what's a JSON script or JSON string even? Right, it tells us that it's a so when we pass a JSON string, it's a curly bracket delimited string where our key value pairs are quote delimitated strings and a data value separated by a colon. Right? So we don't have white space between those things there, but basically, basically you can think of a JSON as just a list of key values. Right? And so I can say, right, well, to parse JSON, well, all I would do would just say, I'm going to parse my list based on my left and my right and my parse key value. Now, what's parse key value? So parse key value, right? So that's going to be parser, and what's it going to return? It's going to return a pair because a JSON. So quickly, what a JSON is? A JSON is a list of string data pairs. So when I parse my key value, basically what I want to do is return a string and a data. Right? And so now, how do I parse my key value? Well, first of all, I want to say take the string. Let's take the first string thing, which would be a string. Right? Plonk that into my key. Have some white space. Then I want to find the colon, a bit more white space, right? And then my value is going to be, right, so what's my value? My value is a JSON data item, right, which is what we get with parse data. We'll talk about in a second, parse data up here. Right, so parse the data, that's going to turn it into a data item, the appropriate data item, and again, maybe simple. Doesn't hurt to throw in a bit more white space, why not? And then what I want to return is just my key value pair. Right, so having done lists, we now can do JSONs relatively easier once we work out how. do my parse data. And so now, so this is where we get the recursive call. Right? So parse JSON calls parse key value, which calls parse data, and then parse data might call parse JSON in due course. So let's talk about parse data. I think that's the next item on the list. Yep. Right. So what do I want to do with parse data? So this turns out to be actually quite pretty, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get. So I've got my data, and I'm just going to go through. I've got a bunch of possible options, right? Either my data. So what's a JSON? Sorry, JSON is, let's get the thing. So data is either a number or a string or a list or a bool or a null or a JSON. Right? So a number or a string. Right? So what I want to do is I say, right, well, I've got a parser for a number. If it's a number, then I can use the parser for a number. I've got a parser for a string, so if it's a string, I can use my parser for a string. I've got a parser for a bool, I can use that. And so what I want to do is just say, okay, well, how do I choose amongst my many different options? Where have I gone? Parse data. Well, right at the start, we wrote a nice little function that basically took a list of parsers and basically ran through them all. Right? So first thing I want to do is say, okay, so let's suppose it's a Boolean. So I want to parse my bool. But this is not going to give me a data. This is going to give me a bool. Right? So parse bool will give me a Boolean, not a data. What I need to do is take the Boolean I've taken and sort of like wrap it up in my data constructor, in particular my bool constructor. Right? And so really what I want to do is bool this, and we want to combine these two things. So I'm just going to use the combiner there. Right? So it's going to parse bool, it's going to process the information, parse it as a Boolean, or try to parse it as a Boolean, and then if it's successful, it's going to use the bool constructor to give me a Boolean data. Right? Likewise, I could have a number, right? And that would be parse double, or I could have a string coming from parse string. Right? I'll deal with list in a second, but what else could I have? I could have a null. Right? Now, when do I want to see, when do I parse null? What's going to appear in my JSON string? It's going to appear the word null. Right? So what I want to do is sort of like see null. So we can deal with that with a keyword. Right? And see null, and then I want to pass that, but when I keyword it, it's going to give me unit, and null is not null unit is not my constructor. In fact, null doesn't have any construct, any types. Actually, what I want to do is return null itself. I just want to throw the result of this keyword away and just return null. So I don't need to pass the result into null. So I've got that. So that's that parser for dealing with null. Okay, I've got my JSON data constructor. Yep. And that would come from parse JSON. Right, so I've got all of those things. Now the last thing I want to do is how do I deal with lists? Right. So what's the deal? So I've got. So how do I parse a list? So in my JSON string, I've got a list. List is limited by open and close square brackets. So I'm going to parse list, open square bracket, close square bracket. Right? And inside my list, I've got data items. They can be any data items. So I'm just going to use the parse data parser to sort of like do that. So that's my thing. That's going to return a list of things. And so then that's what I want to pass into my list constructor. And I think that covers all of them. Right? And so now here I'm kind of relying on there not being any overlap. Like if it starts with true or starts with false, it's definitely a bool. If it starts with a sequence of numbers, it's definitely a double, and so on and so forth. Because otherwise, we've inherently put a precedence on this. It's first of all checking if it's a Boolean, then it's checking if it's a number, then it's checking if it's a string, and so on and so forth. But thankfully, I think, in fact, let's be safe. Let's put JSON data at the end. Safe. But I think everything else should be fine. So if it's true, it's Boolean. If it's false, it's Boolean. So null. Yeah. It starts with a double quote. If it starts with a number. Yeah. It starts with left parenthesis, right bracket. Otherwise, it's a JSON data root. Okay, and so then we have our parse data method. So that's going to parse data. We've now got parse JSON. That's going to deal with parse JSON. And so doing all this work before with parse bool, parse double, parse string, that's what we've been using to help us with that one. Okay, please load. No. Closing brackets. A little bit more than just that. Right, so first of all, there's some white space. Now I get my list. Clear the white space. Yeah, so that's going to give me a list of string data, and now what I need to do is return a JSON. Yeah, return a JSON. Yes, make sure you do the right return type. Otherwise, yeah, so before I was just getting my list. I need to wrap that list in X's, in JSON. And because we can have white space, I mean, I could have in theory just sort of gone without the white space, or pass this still with white space before and after. I could do something like, say, return JSON pass list. Right. So this particular case doesn't deal with white space. That. Right. So yeah, so I'll leave that version there. Right. Anyway, that's parsing JSON. I realize we're getting a little bit shy on time. So what did I want to say? I think I wanted to say a couple of things about these. Also to submission. Oh yes, to submission. So I'll talk about to submission. And then the others, I might just do a recording and do them offline and fill them in. They will be filled in. And as I'll talk about those things, I don't think there's anything to do. But with to submission, so this takes a JSON to a maybe submission, right? And so, so my JSON, remember, is a list of keys, right? And so what I want to do with my submission, so I need to look for, amongst my keys, the session key, the quiz name key, the student key, the answers key, the time key, and check that they've got the right type, and so on and so forth. So what I want to do here is I'm going to use the fact that I'm going to work in the maybe monad, right? So let's extract the session. So how can I extract the session? So I can look up, I can see if session appears amongst my keys, right? And if it does, then what I want to do is, so now we go back to my helper functions. I've got a bunch of helper functions here. Right, so here I've got some helper functions, getString, which turns a data item, which is what is going to be returned when I look up my key, into a maybe string. Right, so my data item is hopefully a string, but it might be something else, right? So I might say if session is equal to, and then I'm going to get some data. Now I want to use my getString function here to sort of like convert that data into a maybe string. And so we're working in the maybe monad. And so what I want to do, so this is going to get the data that's associated with session, and then I want to feed that into my getString method, which will give me a maybe string, and hopefully, and then as long as my maybe is not, if my maybe is a nothing, then this is going to fail because again I'm in the maybe monad. Otherwise, it's going to plunk whatever the just data, which is now a string, into session. Right, so session. So that's what I do to extract the session data and turn it into a string and then plug that string into session. Right, and I can do the same thing for quiz name. Quiz name is going to be look up session for quiz name, and so on and so forth. Keys. Right, and I want to use the other functions as well. So like so getString and but at the end of the day, blah, 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 and what I want to do is I'm just going to return so I want to return a JSON for a maybe submission, right? And so, so now I'm going to return a submission where I've got my session and my quiz name and so on and so forth. Right there. So what I'll do is I'll finish this in a recording.
Require a session, a quiz name, a student, a list of answers, and a time that corresponds to when the submission was made. And so as it says here, all fields except answers are expected to hold string values. Answers should hold a list of lists of numbers. Right, the time key has to be present with the as a string, but the string also happens to be a time. And so when I was working through this, so here, as I said at the time, we're going to be working in the maybe monad. So we take the we're going to work within the maybe because when we do various lookups, we're going to get maybe things, and the end result is maybe we get a submission, maybe we don't, and so we're just going to use the do, and then if there's any error, then that will get captured. And so the conclusion we're supposed to get to, basically we catch the session and the quiz name, and student and the answers and the time, and student and the answers and the time, and then at the end of the day we just invite all these things into our submission data type. And of course, our submission data type, so here, so see here, the session, quiz name, student, strings, type has to be UTC type, and answer has to be a list of hints. And we had these helpful functions down here. We'll go help into time, which will put a string into a UTC time, maybe if it's not runs correctly. And likewise, we had some helper functions in the string. So getString, which takes data from the string, will get this to the data from maybe list of data, get number to W, get JSON to data to JSON. And of course, missing from this list is one more thing, which would be to get an integer. And so, as I said before, here we have this nice little helper function, get integer, which also does the same thing, it deals with data to maybe hint. And the way it works, basically, so the from a num will turn any kind of enumerator type, so including ints into whatever it is. So from a num and to a num are sort of, you can think of them as casting, so converting numbers, converting between forms of numbers. So like n is read as a double, and what it reads as int, use from a num to a num, like that. And same from
do you mean new achievement?
I found something that tells me that I've reached a new achievement, mate.
In what in what field of the human endeavor?
World Gym.
Ah,
I'm top 3 members with most visits at World Gym. Top 5. Number 5.
what?
That
It's
means
all
out
because
of
you've been
ever-
going twice a day.
Yeah.
You
But yeah,
cheater.
like, how good's that, bro? I'm top 5. Fuck, my jaw hurts. My wisdom teeth hurts so much. I can't even barely move my jaw. It was hurting like a couple weeks ago and it stopped, but now it fucking hurts a lot. But I don't want to get surgery until I don't want to get my wisdom teeth out until fucking after my marathon, because when you get your wisdom teeth out, you're out for like 2 weeks. Like, you just can't do anything. Like, you can't exercise and shit.
You can't exercise.
Yeah, because your face just like it hurts and shit. Like, I wouldn't be able to run. Maybe I'll gym.
Yeah, no, fair.
So I definitely don't want to do it until like I can't have 2 weeks off. You know, I just can't.
Do you know any of the other people on the top 10?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't know anyone. Damn, I'm actually proud of myself. Fuck hell.
37 visits.
Oh.
36 visits, 35.
Yeah, so let me see when I started doing a high rocks. When I started doing my high rocks, I started doing 8 times per week. So I think I'm 32. So if I just did, so like, because it doesn't tell me how many I got, right? But if I check because I started doing high rocks sessions twice a week, on top of my gymming, right?
Yeah.
So if I can just see when I started doing my, so I started my high rocks. Yeah. So I probably got 32.
Wow.
I don't think there's a point of going anymore.
Huh?
Like, I'm happy to take this top 5 spot. Damn, I'm fucking proud.
Why do they have more? Like, can't if you go out and like, I don't know, get something from your car and you come back in, does that count as 2?
Maybe. But I haven't done that, so.
Wouldn't that be like so hacks?
Yeah, but surely, like, surely people have done that. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they have like a way to like have a system where like you can have, I don't know, fuck, yeah, maybe some cunts just walk in and out. But I'll walk in and out like twice, maybe.
Maybe that helped.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I'm not tripping.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed, eh?
Yeah.
Can't believe that's pretty impressive, eh?
Yeah.
Got to admit. Damn, I'm proud. I wanted to make that list.
You wanted to make that list.
Yeah, I was like, because my mate told me, I didn't even care about it until my mate told me about it. And he said he wanted to make the list, and I was like, fuck it, maybe I'll just fucking try to make the list.
Yeah. Has your mate made the list before?
No. And he went 29 times.
Damn. Wait, what? 29?
Well.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing
Maybe
the
they'll-
go back to your car strap.
I've done it like twice, mate, or maybe even once, okay? Fucking give me some slack, G.
Yeah, I don't know how it works.
Bro, that's huge, eh? Fuck yeah. I made the list, G.
There's Lachlan to you guys. He got top 10 last time as well.
Yes, Hamza always wins it.
Hamza.
Yeah, that's his name. I think I know who he is. Because I think he boxes in the morning and does weights at night.
Oh, that makes sense. I thought Hamza was a boxer. Or MMA fighter.
Yeah, he's a kickboxer. He doesn't look like he's a... Doesn't matter. Yeah, Hamza always wins it, bro. It's always the same people. The unemployed.
Maybe they're like professional boxers or something.
Maybe. Yeah, Hamza's on like almost everyone. Yeah, I'm fucking respect, bro. Wait, who's this? Wait, I'm proud. Let's fucking go, baby. Even I have, yeah, maybe. Or do you reckon they actually physically look at like? Because like, sure there'll be way more people who go in like PTs and shit.
No, they're probably like PTs don't count
Or do you
and like
reckon how
staff don't
serious-
count.
Or do you reckon how serious they take it, or they just like look at a list and just quickly put it on a calendar and just edit the names?
Yeah, probably. Like, there's no reason to be like 100% accurate.
I mean, who knows, mate? Maybe they take their job seriously.
You get literally no value for making a serious
well,
list versus a non-serious
Yeah,
list.
well, fucking never know. Like, people to go to the gym more. Like, AKA, it's like Laura Russell. Maybe she sees my name. She's like, oh, maybe I should gym more. And they'll be a fucking lazy cunt.
Right.
Also, all these things turn 0 and 1 into true or false. So, right. Anyway, so with those in mind, so how does two submission work? So, to start the session, so what we want to do, we pass into the two submission a JSON.
I wouldn't know.
A list of key value pairs.
Oh.
And so we can use the inbuilt lookup function to look up session in keys. This is of course a
8 times a day.
so a function which you give it a key and a database that which gives you back the maybe b. So this is quite nice because we're working in the maybe monad. We can sort of like look at if the maybe fails, look at fails, and it's just going to fail. Accordingly, if it doesn't fail, we end up getting a data. Remember, this is like these are string data pairs, and so I need to convert that data into a string. And so basically, I pipe the result into getString. Also, it's giving me a maybe data, and I basically want to turn it into a string. So I'm running maybe. Put it in a string and plug the string into session, and carry on with quiz name and student is the same.
Slacking's my middle name.
Right, and then we're left with the interesting case of answers, which is going to be a list of lists and time. So first of all, we're going to say, okay, so what happens with answers? So when we look up answers in keys, that's going to give us a list of lists. And so now what I want to do is pass that into get list, so that'll now extract that. So now I've got a list of data, and then I need to map get list into those, and then I need to pass I need to get list onto all of those individual data items. So I can do that by mapping get list. So
What?
I don't map and get list, but we've got to actually not map get list, not use map, but rather use map monad because we're still working in the monad. So I have to push through the monad. So the maybe monad, map maybe to extract those. And then so now we have and hopefully we should have so that's turned into a list of data. And now I have to do one more map.
Long Island? Long Island?
Inside the map.
Long Island without the island.
Right, so that's going to work, and that should hopefully give me my list of ints accordingly. What about time? I'm going to look up time in keys, pipe the answer to become a string, but now I need to convert that string into a UTC time, and so that's where I use the toTime function. I didn't like that.
Oh.
Right, cool.
She'll be right.
Right. Yep. And so we get that. So to time, of course, what is time? Time.
Like a couple times.
A string into the maybe you can see that again.
No.
So then that maybe UTC time gets passed, or the time gets extracted, and then we just construct our submission based on all of those build up and return that value. So it's relatively straightforward, but this is sort of like a nice illustration of working in settings. Right, so okay, so that's dealing with sort of like turning a JSON into a submission. So now we're sort of like moving on to the next part, which is sort of passing this.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. For what? What?
String into a JSON, or like a parse a string. It's not JSON form. It's sort of a different form. It's a quiz form. And so what's a quiz? So basically, so a key. First line, which is the date of the form, such like time, so we don't have to worry much about that. Then the subsequent lines represent questions that have a form. N, which is the question number, and then the type of question, which is a checkbox or radio button, and correct. And then I want to turn and then so the end of that, so I want to turn it into a quiz, right? And so
Mimi Tran?
So just a reminder what the quiz data structure is.
I don't know. I got a Facebook notification, and I was like, okay.
Right here. So the question is the question number, the question type. Question type, of course, is either checkbox or radio. Which numbers were correct. So if it's a radio, there should be a list.
That's true.
Of containing one item, but if it's a checkbox, then
You don't know your dad's or your mom's? Oh, she uses lunar calendar. That's Jonas. I always mix yours and Barbia's. That's fair, that's fair. There's no use of remembering it at the top of your head. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't as good as the run compared to last year.
it could be a list of multiple items. And then a quiz itself consists of a deadline and a set of questions. And we had some questions about whether this. What about sort of like say missing questions or something? So one thing is we say basically in there.
Every year? Wow. Oh, that's crazy. When are you gonna stop running? When you have a kid? Oh. The sport, that's crazy. Oh. Yeah. I don't know.
In a file, if the questions are not consecutive numbers, or question numbers are not consecutive starting from 1, then it should be considered a null form input, and we shouldn't have any duplicates of question numbers. And yeah, so these questions should be consecutive, so it's like question 1, question 2, question 3. And so we will have to implement ask quiz, but it might be sort of useful to sort of like perhaps introduce the idea
too busy
of
influencing.
ask question. And because what I want to do is I sort of like ask quiz is going to sort of like call ask question, but it's going to, you know, I'm going to
That's fair.
I'm going to add to ask question an additional argument, which is the number. The right order. So this is actually going to make an int and give us an answer after the question. Right? And how does ask question work? Well, so what are we going to do? So
Where are you going?
the first thing we're going to do is
Oh, I thought you were gonna get ready to take a dump, and I was like, what? Yeah, that's fair. Alright, catch you later. assignment 1 marks are out, if assignment 1 marks are out, I'm cooked. 17.25 out of 20. Wait, my orb? Okay, I'm tripping. So there's only like some weird moves cases that failed. Everything else. Okay. $17 out of 20. Ooh, 86. That's not bad. I wonder what the test cases were. Oh. Mix constraints failed. Move 7 failed. Move 6 failed. Huh? My handle pre-exists was trolling me? Oh, word length too short. I forgot about that restriction. Has to be 2 letters. handle pre-exist? Maybe because there was like a 0 or something.
question. So first we're going to extract the first item, which should be a positive int integer. They pass positive int. And now, so I've got the first number, and I'm going to assert that I require that n happens to be in prime. Let's sort of say that. Only passing question 3. Right, so if it doesn't pass question 3, then it fails. Okay, then I consume the bar, and I type word type. And now I'm going to take the question. Sorry, the question type. Right. So what about? So how do I set the question type? Is there a if it doesn't pass question 3, then it fails. Okay, then I consume the bar, and I type word type. And now I'm going to take the the question type. Right. So what about? So how do I set the question type? Is there a yeah. Okay. So right. So what I want to do is I want to extract the type. Now, of course, the type is either radio or checkbox, and so you can kind of think of it as a bit like the parse boolean thing going on. So we can actually, I'm not going to bother writing a new parser for that. Instead, I'm going to inline the parser. Inline the parser that we need. Right. And so what does this parser look like? This is basically going to check if it's radio, or what else? It's right. So not quite keyword radio or keyword checkbox, because of course that's not going to give me a it's not going to give me the right thing. This is going to give me a parser of type unit, and actually what I want to do is extract the type. So again, I have to do the trick of so in this case I need to return a radio. Here I return a checkbox. Right. So I'm going to look for radio, or I'm going to look for checkbox. Maybe if it fails, then this is the whole thing. Type. That's how I get my type. And now again, next thing in the list is another bar. Right, and then finally I have the last line, which is the possible list of answers. So this is a common set for value, and I've got at least one. So let's take the first one of these. Say int. Right, and then I want to catch the rest. So I'm going to parse while. So what's the parse I'm going to pass in? So I'm going to process capture the comma. So this is the common set list with no limiters. comma, and then I'm going to look for some white space. Okay, and then I'm going to parse positive int. Right, so that's my parser, so it's sort of like this is so I'm going to get my first positive int, and then I'm going to look for comma. Right, and so that gives me my my list m and m's, and then remember we've got a whole string here. It's like we read off the line, so basically now we want to have a new line. So basically I want to catch the new line character, and then now what I want to do, so that's going to pass it an individual question. But now what I would like to do is sort of like go and try and parse the next question from past question. So I'm going to like use past questions to like do something that's requested for itself. And so what I'll do is I just grab the remainder, which is sort of the remaining questions. So the remaining questions, right? And so what do I want to do with the remaining questions? Well, what I'd like to do is parse question n plus 1. Right, so move on to the next question. Or if that fails, right, there's no next question, I'm just going to say, right, okay, we're done. Right, so this is basically what I want to do. So a list of questions. Right, so past question is this, and then so now what's the final thing I'm going to do? Well, so I've got my question number, I've got my type, I've got my list of answers. So what I'll do is construct my question with my number and my type and my list of answers. But then I'm going to, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. I ideally want to return that, but I also want to attach that to the remaining questions. Right, and then this is the whole thing that I'm going to return. Right, so that's what I want to return. So this section, right, but of course, what happens if past question? What happens if past question fails? Right, so if I have an error, make sure like maybe I've got like question 5, and I've started doing it, so it's not processing, and then fails. I don't want to return nothing, so instead, what I'd like to do is do a bracket. But if that fails, right, I don't want to return. I don't want to have it return nothing because like this might be like a recursive call. I might be process something that I need to return. I just basically want to return like nothing else, but like everything that's processed so far is going to be fine. So what I want to do is return the empty list. Not part of the this one. So basically, if it processes the first 4 questions successfully and it fails to process the 5th question, those still 4 questions won't have a nothing bit bubble back. It'll have an empty list come back from past the 5th question, which will then result in a list for the first 4 questions. Right, so that's how we deal with past question, or it's like sort of like past question in a recursive way. And so now how do we deal with past quiz? Past quiz should be relatively straightforward. Basically, first thing, so what does a quiz consist of? So first of all, the first line is the time. So it's going to extract the time from the first line. So how do I grab the first line? Well, to grab the first line, I'm just going to use pass pred and just check that my character is not equal to the character C is not equal to a new line character, like so. It's going to be like this. So I'm going to just consume every input apart from the new line character, right? And then I'm going to pass that, just that's now a string. I need to pass that into time, but that gives me a maybe time, and so I just going to pass. I need to maybe pass that. This is where I use try. Try does that for me, and so it's try into time. That's all fine. Great. And so it's going to try and grab the first line and time, and then I'm going to consume that new line character. So. And then the next thing what I want to do is now I'm going to, so I've gone there, and now I want to get the questions. And so I can do that by using my past question function that I just put up. But I want to start with question 1. Right? And so we start doing that. Now we might sort of like say, okay, the question, do we want to deal with an empty list of questions or not? And so, you know, what you might do is there's something like, you know, I assert that questions is not null. This, right, and so I might do that, for example, or it might be okay to have questions in which case I don't want to do that. Right. So I might say it's not null. Otherwise, if I don't care about just things, this, then I'm done. I've processed questions, and so now we get to the return. So now I've got my quiz, and so I build up a quiz consisting of my time and my questions, and that's what I want to return. So, right, and so that's my parsing my quiz. And now we'll move on to the last one, which is parsing a question. And here, so I've got a question. Oh, no, this is what I wanted to highlight. So, right, so if we go back up to the reminder. Yeah, so we saw in the data declarations of submission and question and quiz, right? They're sort of like, you know, submission is sort of like we've got our data declaration in these curly braces. You know, so rather than submission is like a string, list event, UTC time, right? So we say in string we're also given each of these fields, if you like, a name. We're saying session, type string, quiz name, type string, and so on and so forth. What this does is it automatically invokes sort of like get, etc. getter functions. And so C. Like that. Okay, and so I can sort of look at, so what I was saying before, we have our like our fields of our